Hey friends and foes, welcome back to Brushwork. My name is Stephanie Scott, and today we're talking about the 7-day art challenge. Let's get into it! So back in March of 2020, I came up with the idea of this 1-week-long art challenge. And I want to tell you about it now because I'm going to do it again in September. The challenge is one that I created based off of an exercise I read in Hawthorne's On Painting. I've read this book 3 times now. The most recent time has been for Art Book Club, which y'all have heard in the past. And in this book, Hawthorne, the great art teacher, told us about this exercise. And the idea is a start. It's basically like what it says on the tin here, right? Where you're just starting a painting. You're just starting a drawing. But the power of a start is really interesting in its simplicity, but also its restraint that it requires. For the 7-day art challenge, I asked my people who are doing this challenge with me to make 7 starts in 7 days. What a start is, you begin a painting without being precious about it, without being really finicky with the details. The idea is to put as much information down on your canvas as quickly as you can. That means blocking in colors, getting down the drawing, simply beginning the painting. How this works and why this is really good at defeating the creative block is that you don't get caught up in the details so soon, so early on in the painting, that it directs you throughout the rest of it before you can come up with some genuine creativity and freedom of the brushwork. I've done many, many challenges in the past, and most of them have been fairly long-term. I've done NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month, for 10 years. I've written 10 novels. Will any of them leave my computer? Probably not. But you know what? I did it. I wrote 50,000 words in a month. In NaNoWriMo, you write 1,300 words each day, which is about an hour to 2 hours worth of work. And it's really satisfying to get to day 30 and be like, I wrote 50,000 words. I have a first draft of a novel. So cool, right? I've done other art challenges like Inktober, which is about drawing a illustration every single day, usually in accordance to a set list of themes. Usually they're spooky because they're done in October and it's really fun. And whenever someone participates in the challenge, I'm like, these are so rad. But what I've learned with these long-form challenges is that I'm really uninclined to stick to them past the first week, unless I really have some motivation down and a good support system. I came up with the 7-day art challenge because it's short and sweet. With Inktober, you're encouraged to make a whole illustration every single day. With the 7-day art challenge, you're encouraged to start a painting, a drawing, a piece of pottery, some sort of project, but not finish it. The idea is to do 7 starts in 7 days. And when you only start a project, you have the freedom of choosing which ones you want to finish at the end of the challenge. It's quite good for keeping your creativity alive. It's good for looking at what ideas you had that, you're like, this is such a good idea. But then you look back on it and you're like, that was an okay idea. And you want to keep the fresh and the new and the interesting alive and, discard what you don't really need at the end of it. The next 7-day art challenge will be September 16th to the 22nd of 2022. But this art challenge is something you could do at any point in time. I recommend when you're doing this art challenge to find some friends to do it with and really make it a social sort of game that you do with them. During the challenge, it's called the 7-day art challenge, but really it's 8 days. Although what I lovingly call day 0 can be done at any point before the challenge starts. There are a couple of things to do in order to set yourself up for success for the 7-day art challenge. And in day 0, I list out all of them. So, in no particular order, the first thing you need to do is prepare your surfaces. I'm an oil painter, which means I need to make sure that I have painting surfaces ready to go. That means that they are sanded down, they have a fresh coat of gesso, and that they have the geometric design that I want to paint ready to go on them. During the challenge, I don't want to be spending my whole time drawing out the geometry that I want to do. I want to start painting. So in preparing your surfaces, that means you have the image sketched out, or maybe you're doing a transfer with charcoal or, whatever it is. And that works for painters. If you were, say, like an illustrator, that might mean, you get your sketchbook, you have enough pages, you have your pens and your pencils ready to go. Let's say you're a poet. Let's say you're a poet and you're doing the 7-day art challenge. That would mean you get out your notebooks, you make sure you have your, very fun Word documents all set up. Have any of you used OhmWriter? It's a very zen way of writing and I like it a lot. Anyways, regardless of whatever you make, because this is an art challenge, but really it's for any sort of creative, you have to make sure your materials are ready to go. I need to make sure I have enough white paint for this challenge. Let me just write that down real quick. The second thing to do is to calendar out how much time you're going to spend each day on your starts. So for this 7-day art challenge happening in September, I'm going to be doing 2 hours the first day. I'll do about an hour the second day. The third day, I'm probably only going to have like 15 minutes or so, but I'm still going to do it, and so on and so forth. When you calendar out the time you are taking for this challenge every day, you're more likely to, one, do it, but two, you'll respect the time it takes to create these sort of things. And that's really important. The next thing is to declare that you're doing it. Either you're pulling in your friends and you're doing this outside of the formal challenge, or you're doing this with the 7-day art challenge, which, by the way, has its own Instagram page at 7-day art challenge. And you say, hey, I'm doing this challenge. And you share it to your stories and you tag me, which if you tag the 7-day art challenge account, I will share your work that you make during the account, which is just free promo. How fun is that? And when you declare yourself, you're saying, hey, I'm doing this and it's going to be awesome. And y'all are watching me do this. If you want to get another step further, I will stream every day of this challenge. So every time I do a 7-day art challenge, I stream daily and I stream what I'm starting each day. It's very fun and it increases the accountability of doing it to infinity and beyond. It's very good for accountability. The last thing to do on day 0 is to list out all the ideas you might have. For this 7-day art challenge, I'm thinking about making paintings based off of characters. So I'm going to write out 7 characters, maybe 8 or 9, and I'm going to write out like some color combinations. I might write out some like gestures that I want to get. I might download some reference photos. You want to do all of that work before the day starts, before the challenge starts. That way, when it's day 1, you can pick the idea you like the most and just get going with it. It's very good to set yourself up for success this way. Okay, so that's day 0. That's all the prep work you gotta do. You declare yourself on social media, you prepare your materials and your surfaces, you calendar out the time, and you list out the ideas you have. Optional 5th item is to clean your studio space. Make sure it's all tidy and inviting to work in, but that's not a requirement. That's an optional. I'm definitely gonna do it, but you do you. There is one major rule with the 7-day art challenge, and that is to make a new start every single day. If you happen to finish a painting in your time you've allocated for each day, that's like above and beyond great, but like not necessary and also not the point of the project. I would in fact encourage you not to finish your paintings or your projects or whatever you're making each day. Make a start, try not to finish it. If you do, great, that's fine. If you do happen to finish it, don't move on to the next day's start. Leave a new start for each day of the challenge. All right, so those are the rules, and now it's starting to get into the challenge. Day 1 happens. I like to find my juiciest, most interesting idea, and I pick that, and I start painting, and I start getting to work. It's good to be really excited about your painting. I had a teacher once tell me, Stephanie, if you're not like peeing your pants excited about your artwork, why are you even doing it? And I think that really applies to the 7-day art challenge. Pick the idea that's really exciting and stick to the allocated time that you've set aside. I set a timer on my phone because I tend to get really focused with my projects and it gets away from me like a butterfly and I'm like, oh, there's my time, zooming away. So set a timer and get started. After this first day, snap a photo of whatever you're making, throw it up on your stories and on social media, and tag the 7-day art challenge because I will share it. It's very fun. I love to see what you're working on. And then after that, you just leave your started work, let it be. All right, day 2 comes around. Day 2 is great. You're going to begin again with a brand new project, a brand new start. Don't go back to yesterday's start. As a 1.A sort of rule is, don't go back to the paintings that you've made in the previous days of the challenge. Like, leave all your starts and come back to them once the week is over. That way you won't be tempted to overwork yourself with all these projects. The idea is to teach yourself, make as many starts as you can, because that's going to make you a better artist. Okay, so day 2 happens, you've made it start. Now you have 2 starts and they're glorious, and you're just going to leave them be. As you work through days 3 through 7, keep doing a new start every single day. Don't be going back to your previous day's starts. Just leave them, let them be, and make sure you're tagging them to social media. During the challenge, I like to comment on other people doing the challenge with me, comment on their pieces that they post. I talk about, sometimes making little short videos of my work in progresses that I've got. It's quite fun. So days 1 through 7, they've happened. Congratulations, you've done it. It's very fun. Afterwards is like the best part. Okay, so you've got your sweet, sweet victory and the challenge is over and it's awesome. So now what you get to do is look back at the 7 starts you created. And this is where I get to really philosophical with my work. I'm like, okay, which of these starts is worth completing? Which of these starts has a lot of interest, a lot of vibrancy, has good promise to keep working on it? And which of these do I want to recycle? Do I want to paint over? Do I need to scrap? I've done this challenge 5 times now, and I've never kept every single one of my paintings. Like, that's never happened. It's always been like, 3 out of 4 of these are good starts, and I'm going to continue them. But I've never been like, I'm going to do all of it. So it's really delicious. It's really great. Things that have happened because I've done the 7-day art challenge. My painting starts get faster. Like, the initial process of painting has gotten faster. I feel like I make bigger decisions earlier on, less and less of hemming and hawing. And it's been really good for, kickstarting my creative juices. When I do a bunch of starts in a row, my brain comes up with more ideas and I think of better color combinations and I try things out and sometimes they work, but most of the time they don't. And that's the information I need to know sooner in my creative career, right? If you're a visual artist and you're not really sure what to make for the 7-day art challenge, I've come up with a list of ideas for you. If you're someone who likes to draw, do 7 different still lives. Get some interesting objects, get some plants or some, animal skulls or some books or some cups or broken pottery, things like that. That's always a good idea to practice starting. If you're a painter, doing portraits is a great idea for the 7-day art challenge. If you are an abstract artist, doing some really strict gradients is always a way to get better at doing art. If you're someone who likes to make 3D models, doing characters is fun. Landscapes are great. If you're a photographer, maybe taking photos of the same subject every single day and editing 1 or 2 of them. If you're a writer, coming up with 7 different short story prompts could be an excellent idea of what to do. If you are a jewelry maker, coming up with 7 different designs for earrings. If you are someone who makes really large-scale paintings, maybe doing 7 tiny paintings would be a great way to do the 7-day art projects. I've done paintings myself for the 7-day art challenge that have been 5 by 5 inches all the way up to 30 by 30 inches. And I just start every single one of them without finishing them until, at least a week later. No matter what you do for the 7-day art challenge, having 7 different ideas all written out for the challenge before you even begin the challenge is a really good idea. But you can always fly by the seat of your pants and be like, I'm going to make something new today. Huzzah. Oh, one more thing I just thought of. If you're like a mixed media artist, or you want to be a mixed media artist, or you're wanting to try a new kind of media, the 7-day art challenge is perfect for that. Maybe do a new material every single day. Markers day 1, watercolors day 2, color pencils day 3, etc., etc. The possibilities for you to make this challenge your own are truly endless. If you are struggling to come up with the ideas for the 7-day art challenge, please send me a DM because I will help you come up with endless ideas no matter what you are making. I really want you to do this challenge with me, and I think it'd be really fun. If you're interested in doing the 7-day art challenge with me, again, it's happening September 16th through the 22nd over on Instagram. I'll be posting about it on Brushwork Podcast. I'll be posting about it on 7-Day Art Challenge and probably my main account at stephaniescott.art. Does she have enough Instagram accounts? Probably not. If you're interested in doing the challenge and say you're hearing this podcast after we've done the September 7-Day Art Challenge, send me a DM because I would love to hear about your projects and what you want to do. People who have done this project in the past are painters, photographers, poets, blog posters. Who else? Musicians have done this project. People who do 3D renderings have done this project. It's quite fun. It's quite good. So you don't have to be a painter. You can be an artist of any kind. And as long as you're making something, then you're doing the project. I hope you do the 7-Day Art Challenge with me, and I hope you find it exciting and interesting, and I'll see you in September. It's gonna be so much fun. Okay, make good choices, everyone, and till next time, have a good day!